Good night, everybody. Without even asking how you are or how your day was, I have to say, do you know that we have a lot of people among us that are walking around and are passing themselves off as being sane when they are, in fact, crazy people? It has got to be that somebody is crazy to do some of the things that they do. I don't know how many of you have had a bad experience with a babysitter, but there are some people who are really very cruel, and you hear some horrific stories, and you just can't believe it. So, how well do you know your babysitter? And the babysitter that you have, can you trust that sitter that they'll take care of your child just like their own child? Because in this day and age, especially during the pandemic, those of you who have to go to work and have to leave your children and babies with other people, boy, I tell you, the challenges that everybody faces might cause them to do crazy things. This, I am going to tell you a couple of stories, but these ones didn't happen during the pandemic. So can you imagine now if these people are having serious problems during the pandemic? There is this lady who got a sitter for her baby. I think she might have stayed home with her for a few days to take her through the ropes and stuff, and then she had to go off to work. And so I think the lady came highly recommended, and she left her baby with her. Well, a few weeks later, one day she decided to go home randomly. She didn't call or anything. She just went home. And when she went, she found that her front door was open. She called and the sitter wasn't responding, and she didn't see the baby in the crib, and she did. So it's like she kind of panicked. But when she was rushing about, she thought she heard the sound of the baby. And she followed the sound. You know what? The baby was in the stove, in the oven, with the gas turned on. It wasn't lit, but the gas was turned on so that the baby could sort of be out of it, so that she could go next door to talk to her friend. The woman was almost out of it, to say the least. Another one I heard was that the baby was being given rum to drink. Every time she would get a little rum to keep her quiet. Because you know, some of these babies, how they can cry. Some babies, they cry incessantly and they want to drive you crazy. So these women who are the sitters, they might have things to do and they can't be bothered with the noise, and they can't be bothered to spend the time to, calm the baby and all of that. So they find ways and means of keeping them quiet, which is a cruel way, because you can kill people's babies by doing this kind of thing. You can put a baby in an oven with the gas turned on, or giving the baby rum to drink to go to sleep and be quiet. I don't know how she got rid of it on the baby's breath, because I mean, if my baby is drinking alcohol or whatever, you know how you love to kiss your babies and stuff like that. As soon as you go to kiss your baby, you're gonna smell it. So I don't know, but she eventually found out that this was what was happening. Another helper, she used the woman's baby as a flail, meaning she held it by the limbs, either the hands or the feet, and bash it into the wall. I don't even want to think about it. I saw a video also with a woman slapping a little baby's face. The poor little thing, he cried. I thought he was going to die. and I almost lost it. And I was just watching the video. I thought I was going to lose it because of the cruelty that I saw being meted out to this baby. And he cried, and she was just slapping him, slapping him, slapping him, slapping him. And she picked him up and turned him over, and she did horrible things to the baby. But happily, there was a camera in the house that she didn't know about. And so the parents found out, and she was arrested and put behind bars. And I hope she's still there to this time, because that was just too much. People can be very cruel to babies. And I've heard several stories. And you know, I have to give God thanks for having been so good to me, that I got a couple of helpers who treated my children like they were their own, and we never had to be in much worries. I remember we had one young lady that we got. We had to get her really quickly, and that time my child could talk. So one day when I came home, she said, and this is not the helper's name now, she said, "Mommy, Carol say go to Quib, go to Quib." And she's trying to use the same tone, you know. So she said, "Carol say go to Quib, go to Quib." So when I asked her what was happening, she said, oh, she wanted to clean and the baby was in the way. And I said, no, you can put her to sit in the chair and you can clean and talk to her while you're doing that. And when you're ready to clean that area, you move her to another chair, that kind of thing, because that is what she's accustomed to. So she was very upset that she was going to be placed in the crib while the place was being cleaned, because the young lady, she would not be able to see her or hear her or anything like that. So she was very annoyed. I explained to her what she needed to do. Another morning, she was bathing her, and I think child wasn't cooperating. And she squeezed her hand really hard, and she called out. And her daddy went to see what was wrong, and she said, "Carol, squeeze hand hard." And she said, "No, never squeeze her hand, I never squeeze." And when her father examines the little hand, he could see all the imprint of the young lady's hand on the child's hand. But she didn't realize that she would have spoken out for herself. And she was like that. And so was her brother. They would talk. But we, as far as we knew, they were properly taken care of when they were tiny. And as they grew, they were able to talk for themselves. They were not afraid to talk. And we never had any horror stories. And I'm so grateful. Excuse me. And I'm saying that we have to be very careful as parents and grandparents who we bring into our homes to take care of our children, because the children can get hurt, especially when the helpers become very impatient. They want to do something, and you have a baby that is crying, because you know some of these babies are very miserable. They cry, they cry, they cry, they cry, they cry, they cry, they cry non-stop. And some of them, as soon as you pick them up, they stop crying, and as you put them down, they start again. And if you follow them, you can't get anything done. So you know, they're criers. So there needs to be ways and means of comforting them in a way that will not be of any detriment to them. So I'm saying that sometimes some of these people, they just lose it because of the incessant crying of the baby. So you have to be so careful who you have looking after your child, you know, and doing what needs to be done for the child, because they can be endangered and you don't want anything like that to happen to your child. So I'm not scaring anybody or not trying to scare anybody. Just letting you know that sometimes it's a risk that you have to take. Or if you can get the child to a nursery, perhaps, or a very trusted relative that you can find to come and take care of your child, perhaps it is your best bet. But do be careful when you get someone to look after your child, because you want to have your child around with you in good health and well for a very long time. That is my piece this evening, and I trust that you will give some thought to whomever you're going to get to look after your child. so that all will be well. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave me a comment if you will. And we'll talk soon. Have a good one. Bye.